Everyone says pink is an extremely girly color, but I think this Plymouth Cuda behind me might change your mind. Now, behind me here is a 1970 Plymouth Cuda, and you might not even know that this car existed, because in the late 90s to the early 2000s, Plymouth started to make cars that weren't really the best, I guess you could say. They came out with a Plymouth Prowler, which was an interesting car, but back in the early 70s, they made cars like this, and these cars dominated every other car out there. Most notably, the Plymouth Road Runner and the Plymouth Cuda could dominate Camaros, Mustangs, and anything else of that time. Now, this is one of my favorite colors on the Cuda. This is actually called Mullen Rouge. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it is kind of this pink pastel purpley color, and it is absolutely beautiful. Now, this car is a rotisserie restoration, which means that this car was off of the frame and completely redone. And as you can see, the interior is also completely restored back to 1970 standards. Now, on a rebuild like this, we would not consider it a resto mod. We would consider this a really nicely redone classic car. A resto mod is usually when you have a motor swap, when you have a bunch of different gauges, but this car is meant to look original, like it came out in 1970. And as you see here, the hood actually has a cutout. That is what you would call a shaker hood. And behind there as well, you can see this kind of graphic of a 3D shake, letting you know that it's a shaker hood. And this car is engine swap. So under the hood, you have a 440 out of a 1970 Plymouth to give this car a little extra horsepower. This one specifically has around 500-ish horsepower, which for the time and for the car is a lot. Now, this car has a 4-speed manual transmission, and during this era of car, the shifter had a very specific name based off of how the grips look. Now, I'm not going to tell you the name, but if you get a good look at it, you can kind of understand what this grip looks like, and that just added an addition to make this car that much cooler. And adding back to the originality factor, the gauges have not been swapped out, and a cool part about this car is the clock actually still works. You can see how it's gliding. The second hand on that clock is actually sweeping smoother than some of your guys' fake Rolexes. Now, I want to know, did you know that Plymouth actually made cool cars? And what are your thoughts on the color on this one? Would you ever drive a pink car? Usually I'd say no, but if a car looked this good and this cool, I definitely would. Let me know down below. Let's go.